Chapter 3. At the Edge of the North Crater. The wind at the northern pole of the world did not behave like ordinary wind. It shrieked in spirals, thin as needles, carrying flecks of crystalline frost that shimmered like splintered stars. The sky above the crater churned with a perpetual aurora, green, violet and white, twisting together in a haunting, luminous dance. Its glow cast upon the torn landscape below. And there, at the centre of the frozen devastation, the North Crater pulsed like a wounded, slumbering heart. Ored stood on the jagged ridge overlooking the colossal scar. His fur-lined mantle whipped violently behind him, though he barely noticed. Ancient blood kept him warm, but more importantly, it gave him senses far deeper than the physical. He could feel the life stream trembling beneath the ice. A calamity is coming. He did not know why the life stream whispered this truth to him repeatedly, but he had learned never to doubt its warnings. Footsteps crunched behind him. "I knew you would run ahead," Aerolis said, her voice half chiding, half amused. She pulled her hood tighter, though the cold could never truly harm one of Cetra descent. Her pale braid whipped in the wind as she joined him at the precipice. "You feel something, don't you?" Ored nodded. "The planet cries out. But this feels different, uneven, like something pressing back against it." Aerolis frowned. "A disturbance? Or a presence?" Before Ored could answer, a flash of blue-white light erupted from deep within the crater. A shockwave followed, silent but potent enough that the entire ridge trembled under their feet. Aerolis took a step back. "What was that?" Ored's jaw tightened. A tear in the life stream's surface. Something tried to push through. They both turned as another figure approached, Tyrion, warrior, scholar, and friend to both. His dark robes were layered beneath reinforced pauldrons, and a spear of auric halcyon glowed faintly at his back. "I felt it from half a league away," he said. "Is it as we feared?" Ored exhaled slowly. "Worse. I think the planet is attempting to reject something that hasn't even arrived yet. Something alien." Tyrion grimaced. "A presence strong enough to disturb the life stream before touching the ground? That's impossible." But even as he spoke, he didn't believe his own words. The crater roared again, another pulse of unnatural light spilling upward in jagged, writhing arcs. Aerolis clasped her hands together. "We must tell the Council. If the northern pole is destabilizing, the city of the ancients needs time to prepare." "No," Ored said immediately. "Not yet. We must understand what we are dealing with. If we warn them without knowledge, fear may do more harm than the threat itself." Tyrion raised an eyebrow. "You want to go in, don't you?" Ored nodded once. Aerolis stared at him. "That's madness! The entire crater is reacting violently. If we descend without knowing the source, we could be torn apart before we even see it." "I won't force either of you," Ored said softly. "But something calls from within, and I fear the planet can only hold it back for so long. If we do nothing, this tearing may become a wound, one that cannot heal." The three stood in silence for a long moment. The aurora twisted. The ground thrummed unnaturally. Finally, Tyrion sighed. "Fine. If you're going to do something foolish, I may as well keep you alive while you do it." Aerolis shook her head, but she stepped forward anyway. "If the planet suffers, we cannot turn away. I'm with you." Ored smiled faintly. "Then together, we descend." The path into the crater was treacherous, sharp ridges of blackened ice, cavernous pits, geysers of crystallized vapor rising like the exhalations of some buried titan. And deeper still, the life stream itself glimmered beneath the ice, visible through fractured crevices as swirling turquoise light. "It feels angry," Aerolis whispered. "Not angry," Oreid corrected. "Afraid." As they reached a plateau halfway down, a sudden gust of force, not wind but pressure, slammed into them. Tyrion anchored himself with his spear before he was thrown off balance. "Something's breaking through!" he shouted. The air rippled, the ice cracked. A sphere of distorted light bulged outward like a bubble ready to burst. And through that warped membrane they saw, not a creature, not truly, a shape of swirling dark mist threaded with shimmering veins of unnatural silver. A presence without form, a will without voice. It thrashed violently, as if trying to force itself into existence. Aerolis gasped. "What is that?" Tyrion swallowed. "A spirit? A demon?" Oreid shook his head slowly, eyes wide with horror. "No, not spirit, not beast. Something from beyond the stars. It tears at the veil because it does not belong. It seeks to enter, and the planet fights to keep it away." The presence struck the barrier of life stream energy again, lightning-like sparks erupting from the point of contact. Oreid stepped forward, raising his hand. "We cannot let this intruder break through. Help me stabilize the veil." Aerolis and Tyrion moved beside him. The three joined hands, channeling their ancestral power into the shimmering wound. Green light gathered around them, threads of life stream coiling like vines. For a moment, they pushed it back. For a moment. Then the presence screamed, not with sound, but with pressure, will, fury, and the life stream barrier recoiled violently. A shockwave exploded outward. The three ancients were thrown across the plateau, slamming into the ice with crushing force. Tyrion's spear shattered. Aerolis cried out as the wind was knocked from her lungs. Ored forced himself to stand, despite the pain. The presence had retreated, but only for now. And as the crater pulsed with deeper, darker energy, Ored felt something else leak through the tear. An echo, a whisper, a promise of something vast, vile and inevitable. A name, a presence, a calamity. He did not know the word yet, but the planet did. When they returned to the surface, trembling and half-broken, Aerolis looked to Ored with fear in her eyes. "What did we feel down there?" Ored watched the swirling aurora, its colours now tainted by faint streaks of sickly violet. "A herald," he whispered. "A fragment of something that has not yet arrived. Its true form is still crossing the void. And when it reaches our world," he swallowed hard, "the planet may not survive the impact." Tyrion cursed under his breath. "We need the council. We need every ancient prepared." Ored shook his head. "We cannot prepare for something we do not understand. We must study the tear. We must strengthen the life stream. And above all, we must not let fear spread." Aerolis's voice trembled. "But what if fear is the only thing that might save us?" Ored closed his eyes, and he heard the life stream whisper again. A single word this time. Soon. He opened his eyes. They were filled with dread. The calamity is coming.